Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe back, and I'm going to do my weekly reading update for March 22nd, 2020. So this week has been interesting, and I will have things to say. I don't know. The world, a little crazy. Anyway, I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. Let's just get to the books first and try to get through that. I've had trouble because this cat is annoying sometimes. Anyway, so Cooper, he's my good boy most of the time. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about the books that I finished and the books that I'm in the middle of and what I think maybe I'll read later. We'll see. So I'm not reading a whole lot due to whole world things. And I slowed down a lot, and I think I needed to. Like I think, like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. As I said, it's hard. I'm not run to really go into many reading slumps. I'm not. It's just really, I slow down here and there. And I think this is just a slow down period because of everything going on in my mind being taken up by other things. You know, because, anyway. But I did want to mention that the first book is the DNF, and it's probably what you guys all thought it was. It is The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. So this is one of the oldest books on my TBR that I was trying to read. This is actually the oldest book. Even though this copy is not the original copy I had, I got rid of it a couple of years ago and got this library copy. But it's still the oldest book that has been on my TBR constantly. And I really wanted to love this, and I did not. And I think it really is because there's just too much theology in here, too much. I actually didn't like how he did his history, because this is 1327. We're talking about monks in Italy, and they're talking about these certain rules that went into place due to the way the whole popes were going about at that time and kings that were in charge. And he gives this information, but I never feel he gives me enough or what I want. And so, but there's too much stuff about men deciding what God wants, kind of thing, and in some of the theology discussions. And again, that is religion in itself, but it's just I didn't like it. So the mystery was starting to get interesting, but I just looked at it every day and just went, I don't want to read this. So on Sunday, I'd asked you guys what you thought, and a couple of people wrote me back and said, no, just let it go. So I am. So I'm DNFing this book at 122 pages. I just can't. It's too bad. It's actually the third DNF of my oldest books on my TBR. I've yet to complete one. So this is not going well. But, oh, I did forget to mention, this is translated from the Italian by William Weaver. Do not eat my hair, Cooper. Anyway, he likes my wet hair. I don't know what that is. Anyway, so that project is not going very well for me. As I said, I've DNF'd 3 books, one a month so far. It has not gone well. So, in April, Katie at Books and Things is doing a TBR clear out. So it's pretty much what I was planning to do for April, which I was going to take the last of these books that I have on my TBR clear out, or my TBR, oldest books on my TBR, and just do a try a chapter or try them all at some point and decide, do I really want to read them? Because I wanted to read this, I thought so, but I was bored pretty quickly into this, but I still persevered to 122 before I decided to DNF. I just couldn't do it. And, but some of these books, like the Kafka on the Shore, there's no way I'm getting rid of that, or the Buick 8, because both of those I got when on vacation. So those books, even though I may not like them, I would still keep them, but I'm still going to try them. Everything else is books I've owned since high school, or no, college. These are all, most of these are college books. And then the Instance of a Figure post, I'm not sure. God, oh my God. I think it was early 2000s. So, you know, I was out in the working world anyway. But I think I'm going to do is use Katie's readathon idea thing, the, TBR clear out and read the books on your shelf that have been there that you haven't gotten to. Well, these ones are the oldest, so I'm going to do these and hopefully try to get through them, as much of them as I can, or at least try them all with a try a chapter or something. I'll come up with something. I'm not positive yet. It just matters how the world goes. Anyway, but I think this project is showing me that when they reach this age on my TBR, that means, that's it for me. I really don't care anymore. So I'm hoping that I can salvage several of these, but I just don't know. Anyway, but that's my sorry, that was kind of long-winded, but so that's that's April's. Anyway, idea. So anyway, I DNF'd on Sunday. So I picked up a reread. I don't think anybody's surprised. I picked up the second Sheriff Dan Rhodes Mysteries by Bill Kreider. This is Shotgun Saturday Night. So again, I'm doing this for March Mystery Madness. This is a book that was published in 1987. So I started reading him in the early 90s. And, oh, I got cat hair. Thanks, cat. Anyway, so this is another small town, was a small county in Texas. It follows the sheriff, and this one, a man, it starts out really cool. A handyman in the area called Bert Ramsey finds a couple of cardboard boxes at a burn pile that he's going to burn for one of his clients. And he opens one of the boxes to find out, because they weren't there the day before, so he opens the boxes up, and they're limbs of people. And so, of course, it starts off like that, but it's not gory or anything. It's just they were wrapped up in, in plastic and stuff. But there's 3 boxes worth of limbs. Anyway, body parts. So it starts off that, and then the next, later that night, Bert is killed. So it's the mysteries of those things of, are they connected or not? Again, this is, I just love this series. I love seeing it from the beginning, where one of my favorite characters is introduced in this book, Ruth Grady, and she is one of my favorite because she's one of the new deputies, and of course, this is the 80s, so you have to, there's a little bit of, I think he gets so much better at this later in the 90s and 2000s and on, he was a little critical of women in weight. I didn't really like that, but it was just, but that, again, I have to go, it was 87, so, anyway, it was just, but other than that, that was like the only criticism I had of rereading this, is that I was like, well, I didn't realize he did that. I don't remember that, because in years, it hasn't been like that in his books. So it was the early books. It's fine. But really, it was just a few lines here and there, and it really had little to do with the story itself, but but again, I was so excited that one of my favorite characters got introduced in this. I couldn't remember if I thought she got introduced in the second book, but I couldn't remember. So she was around the whole time. I really love that. Anyway. So, anyway, and again, it's kind of cute because he's a widower, and he and one of a character that we met in the first book are getting a little bit more serious. So I'd forgotten how things get together with them. So it's kind of cute too. Anyway, I don't know. It's a comfy police procedural, and I really enjoy it. So if you check out that series, I know it's harder to find the paperbacks and hardbacks now. Because they're so old, but I know they're all on ebook if you want to try, or through your library. I don't know if they've kept them at the libraries that much. I don't know. Anyway, I really enjoy them, and again, I'm rereading the whole series. I've talked about it. Anyway, the cat is distracting me. Which he does it when I work here too. I finally finished River by Esther Kinsky, translated from the German by Ian Galbraith. So this took me a month, almost exactly. It was pretty close. I started this in the end of last month. And what can I say about this? So this is my first book for Read More German Books that's put on by Mel at Mel's Bookland Adventures and Britta Bohler. And I have several other books that are German books that I want to pick up. But this was the first one because this was the group read for the first quarter, and I had already bought it with my Christmas money, by the time I saw, I think Mel didn't like it that well. So I was kind of concerned. But when I started it, it was so beautiful. Oh, thanks, Kat. Yeah, Cooper helps me so much every time, right, guys? So I really wanted to like this because the beginning part was so detailed. And it was, as I was getting into it, I realized, oh, this is going to be a slow read. Like, it is so descriptive heavy. I mean, if you like descriptions and beautiful descriptions, well, even things that were not beautiful, she described them so well that it was really, really a good read that way. But there is no real plot to this. There is no real story. There is really very little arc, if there is anything at all. Like, and then I am so confused about who this character is. This read like a memoir, but a really bad memoir in some ways. So I really, really liked it for a lot of the scenes with, as a character who lives in London. She's an immigrant from Germany. She used to live by the Rhine, and so there's childhood scenes from there. She's living next to the River Lee right now, but she also talks about the Thames and some of the other water areas around there. And then she talks every once in a while about other countries. And the chapter that nearly killed me yesterday was one about India. And I was just like, what is going on? This didn't make any sense to me for, like, I would say half of those 25 pages on that chapter. So there are 37 chapters, and most of them are like 8 pages long. And then the rest of them are like 12 to, and then again, there's that one chapter that was 25 pages nearly. So as I said, it took me 8 hours yesterday to read 25 pages of this. Now again, I was very distracted by my phone because of the world, and also because I was watching BookTube to escape it. And but it just took me forever to get those 25 pages read. It struggled, and as I said, and then I somehow got past that, and then I'm like, okay, I have 5 chapters left. I am just going to push through and get this done. I was reading this a chapter a night for most of March. Most days I read a chapter. Once in a while I'd read 2 if they were short chapters, but mostly I read a chapter a night. And I don't usually do that with books. I will do that with books that I feel that it puts me to sleep after more than that. I would get tired reading this because it's pretty much just it's not dialogue. It's all narrative. And so it's dense. And it was, So, but I want to say that there were so many beautiful passages in here. There were so many things I found so interesting about the river, and river areas that I've never been to that part. Like, when I went to London, I was there, like, so briefly that I didn't get to see much. So, to me, it's all stuff I don't know anything about. But, so it was so strong. But I felt that she wandered a little too far. So, there were when she did the traveling, there was a period in Canada and Hungary and is it Bosnia? I don't know. And then again, India. I think there was one other one. I'm not thinking. Oh, Austria. But that was, yeah. But I don't know. It was just like they didn't connect except that there was river and water. And so I get that, but it was also distracting. I mean, it was just, I don't know. And then again, so this, again, it feels like a memoir. It's not. It's a novel. At least I looked it up and it said it was. But I don't know what this person is doing in London. How is she going to afford she's not living in a great part or anything. Like, I don't know what she's doing. There was only like one chapter on a job that she had that was kind of interesting, actually. And then I don't know how she could travel to all these places. And then at the end of the book, she's again leaving, and it's, I don't think that's a spoiler anyway, but sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But again, I don't know where she's going or for what, or for why, or how she's gonna afford to move. I don't understand. So plot-wise, there's nothing here. I mean, it's really her just meandering, and I think this book could be half the length and just keep to the area around London. I think this book would have been perfect. I would have loved it if it was about maybe 200 pages. 350, I think it was 7. Yeah, I think it was 7. It's just, it was too long. I really felt it was way too long. It went on and on and on. And I just feel if she had taken out all the extra other rivers, which I like the stuff about her home river, the Rhine, when she was growing up. Like that stuff, yeah, I would keep that. But it was the other stuff I was just like, why are you talking about this? I don't know. And then it had to do with her neighborhood and the people in it. And it was very fascinating about all the immigrant stories that it interwove in here in different places people were from that lived there. I thought that was all very fascinating. I may not have liked, maybe I didn't like that she called out what nationality they were from, even though now they were living in London. So I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not quite sure still how I feel about that. And I don't know if I'm really explaining myself very well here. But overall, I still think the writing was beautiful. I think it's a book, if you love descriptions, and that's really your jam, and descriptions have never been mine. I've always been a person who has trouble, and I sometimes scan, and then I read forward to the dialogue, and then I'll come back and read it to see if I had to read that, if there was a reason for that description. I've always fought that. But again, I like dialogue and I like interactions, you know. It moves a plot. There's really no plot here. So I think there's some interesting people that she meets. I think they're all from different other places other than London, which was weird. And yet I'm sure that's true. I don't know. It was a weird book for me. Sorry, I keep saying that. This is weird, and I'm glad I'm done. I'm glad last night after I got past that long chapter, I pushed myself to read like 3 more chapters, and then I finished this morning the last 2, and you know, I'm not satisfied with the way it ended, really, even though that I can't see any other way it could have ended, if that's, I don't know. I'm interested to see if anybody else has read this for the Read More German books and what they felt. I just feel that it was, I think they did a lot of really cool things, but I also feel it failed because it just went on way too long. I really think this book should be 200 pages and nothing more, because I think the descriptions of the Lee and the Thames and the Rhine would have just made a book all in itself, and if you cut out a lot of the extras, I think it would have been better. Anyway, so yeah, but it's done. Oh my gosh, that took me, as I said, like a month. So then the book I'm listening to on audio right now is SPQR, History of Ancient Rome by Mary Beard. This is narrated by Britta Nash, and I'm liking this so far. It's weird how she's structuring it, because it's not linear quite. It's just she's kind of started with Cicero, and then she went back, and then she's kind of gone forward again. So now we're coming up to Cicero's time, and I don't know. It's I don't know. But really, I really enjoyed this. This book is beautiful in the way that it shows pictures of things. So even though I'm listening to it on audio, I then come back and read, look at the pictures and read the descriptions at the end of the day. I keep saying today. It's one of those days. Okay, let's do it again. I'm just not going with this. So this book I'm almost halfway. So I'm hoping that this next week I can knock this out. I don't know what else to say, really. I think a lot of people have read this or talked about this. I'm not sure it's the history I wanted, but it's still very fascinating. And right now we're in the middle of the politics stuff, so maybe that's why I'm kind of... oh no, actually right now it switched over to going from an empire to emperors. So I think that'll be an interesting section. But it is interesting, and I am enjoying it. It's just, I don't know how to articulate. It's just, it's interesting. I'm glad I have the book, because there might be parts I want to go back and reread, you know, that maybe I didn't fully get with just listening to it. So I don't know. We'll see. And then I had picked up on Sunday, actually, last week, was A Journal of the Plague Year by Daniel Defoe. So, why did I pick this up? The Plague Year. Anyway, so this is Daniel Defoe's kind of fiction history kind of thing about the 1665 plague, and he published this in 1722. So it was, like 50 some years later that he wrote this. And so he has a character which goes by the initials HF, I believe. And we follow how this manufacturer of some kind of good is is stuck in London. He did not flee like a lot of the others people did. So he's seeing what is going on. So I read quite a bit of this in the beginning part of the week, but then, the world kind of got a little more scarier. So I haven't picked this up again. I decided to focus on, I read the Dan Rhodes mystery instead, Bill Kreider. So I read that instead. So I'm going to probably get back to this and try to finish this this week. I do still want to read it. I only read 38 pages, and I think it's 270 or something like, no, 250 about. So I have 210 pages left. So I'm going to try to read this week. I might split it up and read 30 pages a day or something. I'm not sure. It matters how much I can deal with at one time. We'll see. Because again, you have to understand that Defoe does this in his books, because at that time, there was still no, everybody kind of wrote what they wanted. They didn't have like structure of, of punctuation and stuff. So if you look at stuff, he just capitalizes words just out of the blue. Like, this one says, "My brother," with a capital B. And then, "had already seen his wife," with a capital, and "children," with a capital. And it took me a while. It takes you a while to get into that. But I think it's still interesting. And again, it's going to show at least what he thinks happens during the plague year of 1665 in London. Anyway, so I'm going to attempt to read more of that this week. Hopefully it won't depress me. But it was really interesting, just the way it's showing at the beginning part, the exodus of when it first, and how the disease was moving through the town and through London. So I do want to read this. This is a book I bought when I was in Vermont with my family, and my dad did want to borrow this. I don't know if he wants to borrow it after I'm done now, but I've been meaning to pick it up, because I told him, because when I found it there, I was like, "Oh, I need to read this," and I wanted to read this, and he's like, "Oh, I want to read it after you," and of course I haven't got to it. Anyway, so I'm going to try to read that, and then I don't know what I'll feel like. As I said, I might not read that fully every day. Like, I think I might pick 20 or 30 pages and I'll try to read that. If it doesn't work out, then I'll just do 10 pages a day, like I was doing with River, to just do a little bit every day to get through it. Just, some books I'm finding I need that right now. It's not, this year has been weird for me that I've been reading a lot more books at one time, and I'm going to try to get away from that as soon as I get through that book. Because again, I want to get back to where I just read one book physically, one on audio. It's just easier for me. But I think I'm going to pick up a reread. So in a couple of days, I'll put up a video about my favorite rereads, or favorite books to reread. Books that I've read multiple times, and I'll just talk about them. But I think I want to pick up The India Fan by Victoria Holt. When I was reading River, and it did talk about India at one point, one of the rivers, the Ganges? I don't know how you say that. Ganges? I don't know. But so I had thought about this one, and I have not reread this probably since I've been on BookTube, and I don't know why. And it is one of my favorite books of all time. I believe it's in that video that I did last year. So I do want to reread this. This is historical fiction, romance, but it's mostly historical fiction with a romance line in it, but it's just sweet. Anyway, but it has to do with, well, she starts out as a girl. Her name is Drusilla, and she is the rector's daughter, that lives next to Framing. Oh, I can't remember. I don't know if it's Framing Place or it's the family that has all the money and, you know, and stuff, and that have the titles. And so she's right next door, and when she's very little, the young boy who is heir to the Framing, he comes and steals her because he decides he wants to be a father. And so the story starts really cute where they meet before she really realizes. And so she grows up hearing this story about her getting stolen by the Lord, and they kept her for a couple of days. They talked the rector into letting them keep her for a couple of days, because again, that's what people in power do. Anyway, but so I think it's in the late 1800s. I don't know the exact dates, because later she gets to go, because she's connected to the family, then she and the daughter, who's more her age, they get thrown together all the time because she's so close, and, you know, she's a good influence on her. No. Because I love Drusilla. She's one of my favorite characters of all time. And again, they'll at one point they will go to India with the East India Company. So, I am, as I said, I'll probably just reread this. I've read this 4 times and I can count. It's just under 400 pages. So, I do want to reread this. It's calling to me, even though I just bought some books that are by her under her other, pseudonym, the Jean Plady, books. But I'm going to read those soon too, but I really feel like I need to reread. So I'm going to put a video out later about videos. So now real quick, if you guys are still here, so update. So, I just wanted to, you know, again, as I said, the world is kind of crazy right now, and, things are changing here and there, you know, all over the place. I am practicing self-isolation just because that's the easiest thing for me to do. I am so relieved my parents are back from being overseas. I was freaking out this week, so I think that's probably affected my reading highly. I just was worried because they didn't get back to the States until Thursday night, and, you know, I was so relieved when I got their call. And then Friday they flew back across the country, so now they're back in the state. I can't see them for 14 days, but at least they're here, and I know they're here, and I can talk to them, and that's great. So I feel much better about that. Then work. I didn't think anything was changed. I thought because of the industry I'm in, which has to do with construction and rock, we were going to, because I hear we're very busy. Things aren't changing for us as much, due to most people are not that close when they're doing construction. Anyway, and there's not that many people on the roads and stuff, so they're trying to do a lot of projects. And so I thought, well, I'd still be going to work every day. Well, they offered for us to work from home, so I am trying that. Friday was my first day. It went pretty well. It was still kind of nerve-wracking because I had to get set up, and then trying to get information when I wasn't there is very different. So we'll see. I'm giving it a shot. I do have to go in twice a week to do a few things that I can't do at home. I get paperwork that I need to shuffle and get, you know, filed together and then enter the data into the system. So I'm going to grab that stuff, and then I also have a couple of things that I have a printer at work especially for that project that I can only do there. So I only think I'll be at work like 2 hours, and for 2 mornings I'm going to try to go in early both those mornings so that I'm in and out and I'm not there. Again, I work in an area where really I'm not close to anybody physically, so really I don't have a problem, but it'll be interesting. So I'm going to try it for at least a week or 2 being at home. We'll see how it goes. I braved Winco grocery store on Saturday, got enough groceries and way more stuff than I probably needed, but because I feel like I'll be home at least, you know, for 2 weeks, not doing, only working and stuff. So, I'm going to reorganize my pantry today because it's a disaster right now and I can't find anything. So I'm going to pull out all the old stuff, and then rearrange it so I eat the stuff that's the oldest and then work my way to the stuff I just bought. Anyway, I think that's it. It's just, you know, it's a very interesting time right now. I feel bad. My grandmother at her nursing home is, or, you know, her assisted living care facility is in lockdown. They're being very careful with all of them. There's no cases there, but, you know, like, they're just being very careful. My grandmother's very bored, so we're calling her. All the cousins and my, you know, aunts and uncles and things are all calling every day so that she's not too bored, but she's pretty bored. I feel bad. And of course, now that my mom and my dad are back, they can't go see her because they have to wait. They can't even get in right now. So it's just, I mean, they wouldn't go anyway because they've been gone, but anyway. So it's been really stressful. So it's been a hard week, and I can see why I did not read very much. I just, it was not something I, you know, I look at my phone too much, and like today I'm going to try to do something where I only look at it after a certain amount of time, maybe set a timer and say I can't look at the phone. Because last night I was looking at it like every 10-15 minutes, and there's no reason for me to do that. It's just I was looking up social media stuff, and I don't know, I was so distracted, which is why it took me 8 hours to read 25 pages. Anyway, it was just horrible. Anyway, so I think that's everything. I'm sure I'm forgetting something I was going to mention, but as I said, I don't know how much filming I'm going to do during this period. Again, I said I have a video planned, at least one for this week, other one that I'll put up. So we'll just go with that. That's pretty typical, 1 or 2 a week for me. So I'll do that. I don't know. I swear I thought there was one more thing I was going to mention, but I don't remember now. So anyway, I hope you guys are all practicing social distancing, which I don't like that term, but I mean, just because they made up something. They should just tell everybody to stay home as much as possible. Get your groceries once a week. And that's it. And if you have to go to work, you know, just be very careful about how close you stand to people. I don't know. I just, as I said, working from home will be interesting. The cat, as I said, Cooper is, every time I answer the phone, he cries. Like, he comes thinking I'm talking to him. So he wants to get up on me when I'm at my desk over here. So it was interesting when these guys are calling me from work. The cat's crying. Sorry, guys. Anyway, I think that's it. Yeah. Anyway, I don't think there's anything else. I don't know what I'll really read later this week. I still have so many library books, but I'm just not there. I'm just in such a mind space. I just think going to the reread will be good. And then the plague year, it's not quite the same. It's a different plague. So I think I'll be okay with that one. I don't know. We'll see. If I get to the point where I feel like it's too, distracting or too, you know, I'm not reacting to it well, then I'll put it aside. But I don't know. Again, it's a classic. I really want to read it. Anyway, so we'll see. So anyway, I hope you guys are all doing well and you guys are staying safe and you and your families are handling being stuck together a lot. As I said, I'm very lucky I just have the cats. And I did get Animal Crossing. So another time killer. So I'm not playing as much as some of my other friends who are rocking it, and they're the ones who are like posting things, and so now I know what to do because I'm not a very good gamer because I just bought that Switch just for this game. So we'll see how the Animal Crossing goes, but I'm really enjoying that, I have to say, on the Switch. So anyway, we'll see how much reading I get done in the next week. So anyway, I hope you guys are all doing well, and I'm gonna sign off now. Okay, later, bye.